What's up, what's up, what's up, everybody? It's that time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
Yes, it is.
You're listening to The Good,
The Band,
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm Geoff.
And you're just...
I am just
Geoff.
Sorry, Joe. You've been taken over.
Yes. Look at that. We'll drop that out.
Yeah.
How you been?
Good, man. You?
It's been a while.
It has. A little bit.
Not too many people know it's been a while, but it's been a
That's
while.
okay. They don't need to.
Things are good.
Yes.
Yeah.
You?
Great.
Good.
Got some new ink.
I saw that.
Yeah. Pretty
good.
Fucking badass. Got to give our shout out, even though no free shout outs.
That's right.
It wasn't free.
It was not.
Well, the shout out wasn't free.
Right.
Thank you, Blackened Heart Tattoo. Yep. Dude, the kid
Want some stuff? Go see him.
He's incredible.
He is.
Yeah. Sam.
Yep.
You know, he did some of your stuff.
He did.
Yeah. So go see Sam.
Yep.
And tell him Big Papa's paying his debt.
Right.
We also got to mention our friends at Riot Stitch.
Yes.
She is. She sent some stuff over, and thank you very much, Sherry. And yeah,
that's cool.
It is cool. Who else? Oh, well, dude, we got to mention
Joe's Buds.
Joe's Buds Cannabis Community Service. Yeah.
You know,
Chris, we're shouting out to you. So there you go. That's all the people we have to shout out to.
And that's all you're getting.
That's all you're getting. Well, I didn't. You know me. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But boy, we've got a great show. We say it all the time and we mean it, but today we really mean it.
I've been looking forward to this one
since you were 10.
Probably.
No. We were older than
that.
No, we're old as dirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a great show today, and as soon as we say the name, everybody will know. So why don't we just introduce the gentleman here?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the studio, the Ultimate Ears studio, by the way.
Yes.
You can hear your own tears.
With Ultimate Ears.
With Rudy Sarzo.
Ah.
Dun, dun,
Beetlejuice. I show up.
Dude,
awesome.
Yeah, if we could do that 3 times every time you show up, you'd be playing here a lot more often. How are you, our friend?
I am blessed. I'm home for a couple of days. We've been touring our butts up with Quiet Riot, and it's good to be home for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's people don't realize your rigorous schedule.
No.
I had emailed Rudy, and it was early our time, so I knew it was like wicked early out in California. Yeah. And all of a sudden, blink, I get the email. I'm like, okay, if this was the 80s, I'd be just getting in. He'd be just getting in. We'd be like, all right, you had a long night or an early morning.
Right.
And Rudy, you had said, I get up so early to go to catch flights and stuff that you're just used to it.
I still have the paper route that I had before I joined Ozzy like 43 years ago.
Cool.
And what I've been doing is just kind of like leasing it to other people. And now during the week, since I'm home, I got my paper route. So before I head out to the airport, I go on my paper run, which now happens to be iPads.
Oh,
I'm on my bicycle and I'm throwing iPads.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
that can get expensive.
Which is a real, I like to say it's bubble wrap.
Yeah, yeah. See, I thought you were doing Uber Eats. I didn't know if you were,
DoorDash, whatever.
Yeah,
delivering breakfast. No, I get up at 2:00 in the morning, LA time. If I have a 6:00 flight, because I like to get myself. Well, first of all, it takes me about an hour. It's 2:00 in the morning, so I'm a little bit slower and groggy from lack of sleep, and I by the time that I'm out the door heading to the airport is 3:00. So by the time that I park and get on the shuttle and get to the ticket counter, it's 4. And so I give myself 2 hours for the potential of canceled flight or delayed, which means sometimes I even have to get rebooked on a different airline to get to where I need to go to meet the other guys in the band so we can travel from the airport, final destination airport, travel to the venue that we were going to be playing at.
Yep.
So I'm in survival mode all that time. Keep looking at my iWatch to see if there's been any change of gates or flight delayed or because if it's delayed, I'm going straight to the. I go to the lounge. What happens at the lounge is they have access to information,
right?
Yeah.
That at the regular counter they don't have. So that's one of the benefits of going to the lounge. So I sit there and keep looking and say, okay, well, flight's not delayed. I'm going to the gate now. Then I board the gate and pray to God that the flight takes off, because sometimes you'll be sitting there and they go, excuse me, we have some maintenance issue, and you sit there for hours and you miss, your flight gets delayed. So it means that somehow, some way, when you miss your connection, so somehow, some way you have to find a way to get to where you need to go.
Right.
Yeah.
I have the luxury of flying a lot for my day gig, and there's nothing worse. I had to go to a meeting down in Punta Gorda, Florida, all East Coast stuff. So it was like I wasn't worried. I wasn't changing time zones. I figured everything would be good, and I'm heading to the airport, and I get a text. Oh, your flight's been delayed. And I'm thinking, how bad can it be? Oh, it wasn't delayed. It was fucking delayed. I mean, it was delayed like 5 hours. And I'm like,
yes,
I booked this flight to get down there, to be down by 11 o'clock.
Yep.
And they're telling me my flight's not going to leave till 11, and I'm not going to get there around 7 at night. And then they say, well, the flight that you were supposed to connect to, obviously you've missed that, and there is no other flight, so we can get you there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I said, tomorrow my thing would be over.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do for me? And I was on the phone for 2.5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, well, we're trying to get you a flight out of Newark. I said, I could have driven to Newark for the time I've been on hold. I could have jumped in the car, driven to Newark in 3.5 hours instead of 2.5,
exactly.
and then just flown out of there. You guys are, there's no culpability anymore. They're just like, they're like,
is that a regional airport that you fly out of?
Syracuse is an international airport.
Yep.
Yeah. But then again, it's not like LaGuardia or JFK or even the one in Newark.
Right.
It's especially early in the morning. And if it's on a Sunday, they don't have crews. I flew out of Indianapolis one time, and I got there at 5 o'clock in the morning. I saw the sunrise. Then I see the sunset. Like around 8 o'clock at night. I was sitting there all that time because they were waiting for the maintenance crew to come in from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And then once they get there and find out what's wrong with the plane, then they have to order the part. That had to be flown in from Chicago.
That's got to make you feel really safe.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. We ran into that the crew got in late, and they are mandated to sleep so many hours and not be able to. And they were the next flight. So because they got in late the night before, every 227 passengers got screwed the next day.
Yeah.
They end up sending me to West Palm Beach, which is a 3-hour car ride to make it to Punta Gorda. Wow, it should have been 3 hours. I think I'm the only man that's ever beat the GPS by an hour.
Maybe.
Hey,
you never know.
New York State license is different than Florida driver's license.
Well, yeah, true.
Yeah. So, but flying. So, are you doing more like the weekend gigs where you're home during the week and playing the shows and flying out in weekend?
Well, what happens in the summertime? We do a lot of fairs, and the fairs are booked like all week long. They'll be open for like maybe a couple of weeks.
Yep.
So we could get booked on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
So you're not worried about, and you're not doing a lot of real back to back. No, we've done that. You're still doing that.
And typical is let's say like we just did a Springfield, we headline. So, the later you go on, the less sleep you're gonna get to get your lobby call, to go to the airport. So by the time I got back to my room, it was almost midnight, and I got to be at the lobby at 3, which means, again, I got to get up at 2, so I get 2 hours of sleep. But the great thing about it is that I can sleep through crying babies, even if the baby is sleeping sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
I smile at the baby and play with the baby as we're getting ready to take off. Then I just pass out. And then I wake up when I get there. This is perfect.
That's cool.
That's excellent.
Yeah, you played here not too long ago. Was it last year?
I think it was last year
at the New York State Fair.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Brian Wheat got up from Tesla. Brian has a home here. Yeah, and I think he got up and jammed with you guys that day.
Yeah.
So anyways,
okay.
But you know, it's really a thrill to have you on here because we followed your career throughout, and man, I think you guys played here years ago, even in the small clubs in Syracuse. I think you played the Lost Horizon. That was the club with the pole in the middle of the stage.
My first club ever in the 60s was a stripper, was the Topless Tomboy Club in North Miami. So ever since I play a club, there's a pole in there on stage.
Oh man.
Who was here was it Scorpions? That somebody ran right into the pole?
No, that was Dokken.
Was it Dokken?
Yeah.
Almost knocked himself out because they had too much fog.
Yes.
And he wasn't there, I think, for sound check. I think
correct.
One of the techs did it.
Yep.
And he came running out like, "What's up?" and bang, just almost knocked himself out. And
first into the pole.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
It did.
Yeah,
but
I saw Don last week. They had the premiere of that documentary.
I watched it.
Nothing but a good time.
Yep, I watched it.
Yeah, and it was at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and it was so. I mean, my wife was with me, and we've been married for over 40 years now. And I first met her in 1981, which is kind of like when I started playing with Ozzy.
Yep.
And so she's been with me through the whole thing. And I turned to her as we're watching this, and I said, "Can you believe who would have told us 40-something years ago that we'd be sitting here at the Rainbow, watching a documentary about what happened?"
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
I watched it. And I was. In fact, I watched it a couple weekends, or not a couple. I think it was last weekend. It premiered. If you didn't know, growing up in that era, what actually happened, watch it.
Yeah,
because you're gonna know by the time it was over.
But see, we were blinded by the fame of it all when we were kids, and then when you get older, and you're privy to what really happens and what it's not the glitz and glam. I mean, you guys bust your ass, and it's not as. I mean, there was a lot of debauchery and Vince Neil and Tommy Lee and those guys, and a lot of people were doing some dumb shit.
It was actually more
not
around,
everybody.
It was actually more around, I think, like the Quiet Riot guys, Great White, Ricky from Headbangers Ball.
Right.
Just a lot of those guys had a lot to say.
Yeah.
It was just, I'm not going to ruin it for anybody. Go watch it.
Okay.
Go watch it.
I was there when it happened. I still don't know what happened.
That's what I hear a lot, though.
I only know what happened with every situation I was in. Mm-hmm. But as far as because this is what happens. You are so busy with your own bubble.
Yeah.
You don't really get a true bird's eye view of all the bubbles that are going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Bouncing off each other.
Right.
So we're so busy doing what I was doing, and for me, it was busy from playing with Ozzy, 81, 82. Are you familiar with the record "Speak of the Devil"?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm getting ready to go to New York to record that. It was live at the Ritz in New York, 2 nights live. The band did not overdub anything. We were told by Sharon on the way to the stage, "Listen, boys, you better play really nice tonight because we're not, there's no overdubs on this." Okay, so we make sure that and but that a few days before that, I got a phone call from Kevin Dubrow, letting me know that they were in the studio. The band Dubrow, it was called Dubrow at the time.
Yeah.
Because once Randy left, it stopped being called Quiet Riot. So it became known as Dubrow, and I moved in, and I played in Dubrow. I moved in with Kevin, and I played in Dubrow for about 8 months before I joined Ozzy. I went from sleeping on the floor at Kevin Kevin's spare bedroom in his apartment to joining Ozzy that night.
Yeah.
After the audition, I stayed with them, which I at Sharon's family home up in the Hollywood Hills, and I joined the band and all of that. And so I get a phone call from Kevin, say, "Hey, there's a possible record deal. How would you like to come down to play on Thunderbird, which is one of the songs that I used to play in Dubrow with Kevin?" So I went down, and there's Frankie Benelli. He had just joined Dubrow. He had been playing with them, and Frankie and I, our history went back to 10 years prior, 1972. We met on my birthday at a club in South Florida, and we started playing immediately, put a band together. And so 10 years later, and we also moved to LA together in 1977, tried to keep it together, and we ran out of money. So we split. I came back to LA in 78. That's when I joined Quiet Riot. And then the band broke up when Randy joined Ozzy. So here we are. Finally, I'm in the same room recording with Frankie and, of course, Kevin. And Carlos, I had never played or met him before.
Yep.
But he was in the band Snow, and I was aware of that because they were part of that circle of bands that were around in LA, trying to make it. And I had lost the joy of playing, of making music when Randy passed away, and it was never the same. For me especially, it was never the same. I know it was never the same for everybody else, but I can only speak for myself about this. I felt that I needed to move on, to do something, basically start all over again.
Yeah.
And so by the time I left that session, we recorded Thunderbird really quickly because I knew the song. Of course, they knew it. And then right after that, I recorded of the same session, Slick Black Cadillac, which was the only song that made it from the Randy Quiet Riot era to the Mental Health record. And then Love's the Bitch and Let's Get Crazy, which were also Dubrow songs that I used to play with Kevin. So by the time I left the session, I played already on 4 songs. Everybody thought they were going to be demos because it was done in what is known a typical demo size studio, not a record plant or Cherokee or any of those places. Sure. And so, I go to New York and record Speak of the Devil those 2 nights live. But the whole thought about how great it felt playing with people that I grew up with musically. Yeah. See, with me, it was the fact that, okay, Randy and I, he was playing in Quiet Riot, then he joins Ozzy, he records and composes, the 2 albums, Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. But we had a history of the struggle of trying to make it in the music industry. Yeah. Back in LA, we had that in common. 2 guys from Quiet Riot on stage with one guy from Black Sabbath and another guy from Black Oak, Arkansas, Pat Travers in the back. And once Randy was gone, it was like I couldn't relate.
Felt like something was lost.
Well, journey-wise, musical journey-wise.
Yeah.
Because Ozzy already been there, starting off with his own band, Black Sabbath. So he already had that 15-year journey. Right. Tommy, the same thing with Black Oak, Arkansas, and then, Pat Travers, whatever. They had a legacy already. And I said, you know what? I lost the joy of making music, and I need to be part of my own, of a legacy of building a band up. So, I left one of the biggest bands in the world for the total unknown. I mean, nobody thought Quiet Riot or Mental Health or anything was going to do anything, as far as the success of the band. And we had to beg our former manager, original manager back in the Randy Rhoads days, to come out of retirement and manage the band with an album already finished, ready to be released in March. And nobody bet on the band but ourselves.
Right.
And I finally, with Quiet Riot will always be my home because that's the band that I was a part of the whole building process, getting signed to a record deal with Pasha, CBS, Columbia Records, Epic, actually.
Yep.
Yeah. And going through that journey of getting on the station wagon, doing our first tour, driving up from LA to Northern California, like the San Francisco area. We did there's some clubs called the Stones, the Keystone and the Stones. We did all three of them. Ironically, with Vandenberg on the bill, Adrian's band,
Yeah.
And then after that, our agency happened to represent our booking agency. They represented the Scorpions. So the Scorpions were getting ready for the Oz Festival. And they had a very short tour because they had been in the studio. So it's like, okay, we 2-week tour to warm up the Scorpions, and we're going to put you guys to open up for them. So we went through that. And then we get to the final gig in Denver, and the promoter for the Oz Festival, Barry Fay, they had a company called Fay Line, sees the band, Quiet Riot, opening up for Scorpions. Then after we finish our show, he runs in the dressing room, introduces himself, and offers us the spot at the Oz Festival. And so we took it right there. He says, yes, we'll be there. And this is 2 days before the festival. So our crew had to drive our equipment, because back in the day, there was no air, like we have nowadays, that there's the backline companies that will provide the equipment. Back in the day, you have to, everything, if you're in a band, you got to put everything on a truck or the back of whatever, van, and take it with you.
Right.
So we had a U-Haul truck that we had rented in LA, and we had all these miles, and gas was a little bit cheaper then, 27 years ago. And so we did the Oz Festival with no crew. We had to borrow gear because all the backline that was rental backline that was available in LA already was committed to the other bands that were playing on the bill.
Right.
And it's a 3-day festival. There wasn't just one day, and I got to tell you, there were some challenges, but we did it. And then after the Oz Festival, we opened up for ZZ Top, then Loverboy, then Iron Maiden. By the time we played with Black Sabbath in November of 1983, that's when we went to number one. So I made the journey.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, now I got this journey and we went right. I was part of this. And we went right to the very top.
That is an odd pairing.
What's that?
You have Quiet Riot, and all I think of is Metal House, the whole thing, that album, and their opening for ZZ Top. It's just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it is a weird pairing. But look, ZZ Top, you had bands like 38 Special opening, having all kinds of different people. Even nowadays, you've got guys like Charles Miller.
Oh, Jason
Charles Miller opening up for Faster Pussycat. I mean, music is music now. I mean, thank God there's such a diversity in what people like. But
except when you're opening for ZZ Top, I got stories. Because this is 1983, so it's like it's the glammy metal. We used to put makeup on and spandex and some
tease your hair up to the moon and
all that. Yeah, right. Now the crowd, the women, the ZZ Top fan base, female, they could kick her ass big time. I tell you, they would walk in front while we were performing and flip us and give us the bird, flipping us off. Like but okay, that was 1983. And I thought, okay, it's because maybe I got a little bit too much rouge on my cheeks, or my hair is a little bit too puffy, or, okay, I get it. Yeah. I get it. Okay. So fast forward to like the mid 90s, and I'm touring with Whitesnake in Germany. Mm-hmm. And we go on. We were special guests to ZZ Top. This is Whitesnake,
right?
Like
another
pretty much that peak, right? Yeah. In Germany, it's the same thing happened.
Really? Jeez,
it's like the crowd did not want to know anything about us. Just ZZ Top.
Yeah,
they're the toughest band to open up for.
Well, I've heard that on several occasions, and I think the Black Crowes have I think they had a handle on that because they got kicked off the tour.
Well, they probably got kicked off the tour because the brothers were probably fighting.
No, you got to read the book. It's pretty entertaining.
But if you look at it, you're right. ZZ Top's crowd are somebody like Saxton, denim and leather, man. That's it.
And right,
versus spandex and pizzazz.
Yeah,
it was like, who could grow a beard to your feet and wear a fucking skull cap in 100-degree weather?
Billy Gibbons can.
Exactly. Billy Gibbons can do what he wants. He can take a shit on stage and his fans would be like, oh, Billy, So I can imagine it had to be a hard time. But you didn't mind doing it.
No, it was a challenge. I love to be challenged.
Good.
Oh, God, yeah. Because, some nights we did at the end of it was kind of like a trial by fire. It's like, okay, these guys are not giving up. They're not, recoiling, meaning like not. Now we were in their face. It's like the more you flip us off, the more in your face we're going to be, and the harder we're going to play, and the louder we're going to play. Okay, so at a certain point, you start getting their respect.
Yeah, right.
It's like that. Yep. But it's not for the weak.
No,
to open up for ZZ Top.
No.
So when do you go on tour with Michael Bublé next? I was just
Michael Bublé. I love Michael Bublé.
I do too.
I love Michael Bublé. I love the older music. I grew up with that.
Yeah, it's funny.
Okay. I knew that at some point we were going to talk about my background. Okay.
Bring it.
I was born in Cuba in 1950. So I was, for about 5 years, I was listening to music that had nothing to do with rock and roll. It was all big band swing, Latin jazz, all of that, right? And here comes rock and roll. Actually, it was actually rock in Spanish. And once in a while, they would have like Fats Domino or somebody, I recall Fats Domino. I don't know if it was, I doubt if it was pre-tape. He was probably there in Cuba performing. But, we also had our own rock in Spanish bands,
right?
Guitar-oriented stuff, electric guitar. And but if you're talking about big band and swing, that's a music that I used to go to sleep when I was let's see, the revolution came in. I was 9 years old, and I left Cuba when I was almost 11. So growing up, our social, of course, I was too young to be hanging out on the streets,
right?
But the rest of the kids that were older than me would gather at night at the same time as my mom would put my little brother and me to bed. The balcony that we had in our bedroom would face the street, and down below there were kids gathering around the old DeSotos and all those, cars made out of metal. Yep. Everything was metal, and they would gather with coins and start doing beats like,
oh wow,
right?
Yeah.
And before you knew it, there was like this language going on. They weren't talking; they were just like doing little beats, and that's what I would fall asleep to every single night. So that I'm programmed for that. It wasn't until recently that I was playing in a band that was influenced by the British invasion.
Okay.
There's the big band.
Yep.
But they were not British. It was actually the Guess Who. I was playing with the Guess Who.
Yeah.
And they were, very British invasion type of playing, especially the bass parts. And I was asked by some of the guys in the band to actually not follow the drummer, but to follow the beat, straighten out what I was playing. And that's when I actually started becoming aware of my tumbao. A tumbao is like playing in front of the beat and back of the beat. Like Nachao plays like that. He's no longer with us, but we got the recordings of him playing like that. Which is like, you're playing on the up, then you're playing a little bit back of the beat. And, Latin music traditionally does not have a drummer.
Right.
There's percussion.
Right.
So
Right.
one guy's playing one way and the other one's playing with the clave. That's kind of like your metronome, you
Yep.
know. That's
Yeah.
the conductor, the clave. And then you have the other, you know, the congas or the timbales or whatever, whatever the percussion section happens to be. And everybody, just a little rub going on because it's not exactly on,
Right.
you know. And that's what the band plays to, like if you were playing to a drummer. But it's like taking five guys on the drum kit. One guy will play the kick drum, one guy will play the hi-hat,
Yep.
and one player will play the snare. So they're still not going to be the same as one person playing the whole kit.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so we have that rub, that swing
Yep.
to us. So I've been swinging a lot without even realizing it because nobody actually brought it up with the other bands that I play with.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
What made you pick up the bass?
Okay, so I had just moved from New Jersey. My family moved to New Jersey between 1963 and 67, and then we came back to Miami. And I happened to, at that time, my parents got me and my brother, we share an acoustic guitar that we got from Spiegel catalog. And, you know, again, now in Miami with rock and roll, now we have bands, you know, garage bands.
Right.
Yep.
Real garage bands.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
were in the garage.
Right.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So I moved into this neighborhood and I went to the garage on my street, not across the street. It had to be there were boundaries. You can only join this band here,
Oh.
the one on your side of the street. And so I went there, introduced myself, and I got my acoustic guitar, and I said, I want to join your band. And they said, well, they told me, if you want to join the band, you have to play the bass. And I said, what is that? They go, well, it's like playing a guitar solo through the whole song. And I said, sign me up.
I'm in.
I'm in. I said, you know, because I did not know chords.
Right.
But I could play lines.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's not like today. I mean, every day I go on YouTube and search out certain YouTube channels that teach jazz, bebop, whatever, you know, form of jazz. And I stretch out my musical vocabulary. Yeah, we have that now. We didn't have that 50 something years ago.
No.
Right.
You know?
Right.
At all. You know, so a chord, you know, you have to get lessons. You have to have your parents afford a guitar teacher. My parents could barely afford, you know, to feed us.
Right.
You know, it was tough.
Yeah.
Well, we were refugees, you know.
So you came over. What people don't realize, that I know a little bit of the history of, but what people are listening, they hear you say Cuba. The younger listeners, all they're thinking is Castro. They don't think Batista. They don't realize that you guys got out when you could before you came here before Castro, because Castro was what?
No. I came here in '61, right between the Bay of Pigs and the missile crisis. It took my family about a year and a half to get all the documentation, get a sponsor, somebody to sponsor us from the United States, get the visas, get the passports, get the tickets, and on everything on the low down, because nobody was supposed to know that your family was leaving, because my dad was a technician, and they put a cap on that technicians could not leave, because these are people that if you leave, then they can't run the machine, because you know, you have to train somebody to run a machine. My dad used to work in the back in 60 years ago. They had bobbins, like paper bobbins, 3 of them to make newspapers and magazines.
Yeah.
And he was a technician for that.
Oh, okay.
So for a big, you know, the big magazine called La Bohemia. So we didn't even tell anybody in our family that we were leaving.
Oh wow.
We found a friend that led us. We left the house like if we were going on a picnic, in the middle again around 3 o'clock in the morning. It kind of reminds me every time I go to the airport.
Yeah, right.
And it was, and then we went to somebody else's house, and we already had our duffel bags, because we found that you could fit more in your duffel bag than a standard suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
And we stuffed it, with clothing, because we had no idea when we were coming back. And so we changed. We put on our suits and tie. Because back in the day, that's how you fly. You fly, you wear a suit.
Right.
Nowadays, if you wear pants, that's like, thank you for putting on pants. You're sitting next to me.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Because a lot of times, especially in the summer, you get these hairy legs and flip flops.
Yes. Yeah, those are great.
That's in first class. Yeah.
Right.
Jeez.
Do you find yourself still letting some of like the merengue and some of those beats influence what you're going to try to bring into your new stuff?
No, because the Latin music that I grew up with was less progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because with time it progressed, and you got like fusions of different style.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was Benny Morés, Celia Cruz, which was very traditional. Mm-hmm. It's like in kind of like when you mentioned Michael Bublé. Well, he likes to go back to like the arrangements, like what Frank Sinatra
the
did.
crooners, yeah.
Those Duke Ellington did some of those arrangements, and Quincy Jones, and some other because he would always name who was the arranger of the song. He always get credit. When the song started, on live performances, Frank will always say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to do a song by while the band was playing, song arranged by so and so, and written by so and so, and so you get all this information. That was really great for him to do that, giving all that credit for the people behind what he did. So mine was from that era, very traditional horn arrangements, not the more progressive stuff that came out later on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So when you got to the United States and you're growing up as the music is evolving, heavier stuff is evolving. Black Sabbath is kind of cutting its teeth. Bands like Cream and those guys they're just all cutting edge stuff. You're like, wow, no one's playing this. So you kind of had an open ticket to say, we're going to create this kind of a sound. And I think Quiet Riot wasn't like anybody else. I mean, you guys had your own.
Yeah, but there's a lot of yada 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 in between what we're getting to with Quiet Riot. I mean, there's for me personally, my musical influences came more. Okay, I love the British Invasion. To me, that was like the epitome of my influences. Mm-hmm. But if I wanted to work, if I wanted to play parties, even if I wanted to play at that strip joint that I was telling you about, the Topless Tomboy Club, we had to play danceable music.
Okay.
So R&B became the core of my playlist. As a bass influence, James Emerson and every other bass player that was part of the Funk Brothers. That was at the core. And then after that, because I was still living in Miami, came Santana. That was a huge influence. Sure. Because now, and then Santana and bands like the Rolling Stones and Traffic and a couple of others, even Led Zeppelin, Whole Lotta Love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a conga solo in there.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Jump bottom, in the middle. That's percussion congas, right? Okay. So we started incorporating with rock percussion. Okay. We had a drummer, but then we started, adding that. Like we would do Sympathy for the Devil. That opens up with the conga player,
Yeah.
And Traffic was another one that had a lot of conga. Mm-hmm. Either Capaldi or Chris Wood, I believe that's his name, the sax player, who would play percussion in there. Then they had Rebop Kabuba, playing a real true percussionist, like a conga player, playing the percussion. So all that music, it just kind of like that became part of our playlist. because we now not only are we playing Santana, but we're playing more of the British music that had percussion. Jimmy Miller was very influential of bringing that into the Rolling Stones productions.
Okay.
So anything with Jimmy Miller in it, that he produced some Traffic, like Medicated Goo. That was one of those songs, that it was a staple because they had that beat, to it. It was really funky. Then, of course, you have bands like Slash and Family Stone. Basically, anything that was danceable, that was on the radio, funky, we played that.
Right.
And then some Motown also had some percussion. I Can't Get Next to You. It's just all this infectious groove, so you can go from one song to the other and keep all the kids dancing.
Yeah.
And the club owner loved that because that's how they sold liquor.
Right.
Right.
They got them sweaty and drinking.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
That's right.
You
mentioned
mentioned
the air conditioner.
That's right. Give them popcorn.
Yep.
You mentioned the Guess Who. When did you sit in and play with them?
Well, the last time I played with them was 3 years ago.
Okay.
That's when I joined Quiet Riot, rejoined them. And then I played with them for about 5-6 years. So I would say 3 and 6, about 9 years ago, I started playing with them.
Okay. Because we had,
Mike.
We had Mike Sterto.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the one who told them about Michael.
Oh, no
Because,
kidding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when I first joined the band, it was a Will Ivankovich who had a history, even before I joined the Guess Who, of Will working with Tommy Shaw
Okay.
as a solo artist and also producing Styx records and writing the records with Tommy. So it came to a point that it just makes sense to add Will to Styx, and he's now the new member. Well, actually, there was somebody else that took over the bass. I think it's Gowan's brother took over the bass for Ricky Phillips. Yeah. So, but then when they were looking for a guitar player to replace Will, I already met Michael at a rock and roll fantasy camp. And I really liked everything about him. I thought, this guy is perfect material because, you have to, not only it's all about the playing, it's about the individual.
The chemistry. Yeah.
The chemistry and, are you a team player? So he checked all the boxes and I told the guys, I highly recommend Michael.
Yeah.
And he came in and, he was there until they're taking a little break now, I guess.
Jeez.
We'll call it that.
Yeah, let's call it a break.
Yep.
Yeah.
That I don't want to get into the politics of it, but I think
Negative.
what happened to them was bullshit. That's all I'm going to say, and I can say it. So it is bullshit. But Michael's a true gentleman, and
Yes.
that's our first endeavor with Bless Your Heart.
Yeah.
Was from Michael, finding a new way to be creative, and it's but he had worked well with Lou up here, and he's from Rochester, which is very close to us, and we got introduced to Michael through Peter Maluzzi.
Yeah.
So
you know what? Yeah, now that you mentioned Lou Graham and Rochester, I believe I met Michael first when I did one of the Rochester Hall of Fame award presentations at the Kodak Theater.
Yes.
Yeah.
A few years ago. Yeah. Gene Cornish was there. I believe Michael was there for sure. Yeah. I think that was the first time I met him. Carmen Apiz was there. Actually, him and his manager were the ones who instrumental in having me appear at that event. Yeah.
Awesome. Which still is going to be booking a show with us. So, Mr. Apice, if you hear us, you promised to do the show.
Get on it.
Another one that, again,
Michael, you know what? I got to play on the Cactus tribute record.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I do Rock and Roll Children.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
nice.
the song. Yeah. And I listen, people ask me, when was that moment that I knew that I wanted to do this? Of course, seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, but that was more of like the the kind of like the Big Bang that I called it.
Right.
The Big Bang. I mean, all the guys from my generation that I ever, to sit down and talk about the moment that's the moment.
That's the one.
Beatles and Ed Sullivan, 1964.
I can't say that.
Yeah. And after I tell you about Carmine, and Tim Bogart, the whole Vanilla Fudge.
Yeah.
I can tell you a little backstory as to what that Big Bang meant to me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So remind me if I just,
No.
Because once I go down a certain path, because I go there, and sometimes you have to like reel me back. Okay. So the Beatles were they instigated that, and it wasn't just the Beatles. It was the reaction that the girls were having to the Beatles that sold me on it.
Yeah.
I gotta do this because at that time, this 1964, I just turned 13. I was invisible culturally because here I am in West New York, New Jersey. There was not a big Latin community,
right,
at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first experience with the urban lifestyle in the United States. Because when I lived we lived in Havana, and West New York was not that much different from where I lived in Havana, except that in Havana, everybody that I knew was Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if you're Chinese, you still consider you Cuban. You just happen to be Chinese.
Right.
Or if you were Jewish that had come over during World War II, getting away from the Nazis, you were still Cuban.
Right.
So, but once I got to the United States and we moved into New Jersey, and it was that urban environment.
Density.
It was like all the ethnic groups kept to each other.
Yeah.
The Italians lived in one block, and the Germans and the Irish and whatever. And it was like the same thing in school. It was exactly like that. The kids, the Italians hung out with each other, and everybody, hung out with their own ethnic group. Then the Beatles happened overnight. We, the next day, before I went to school, I looked at myself in the mirror and it just went like this. I had a pompadour. So that was like, I discovered that I could have Beatle bangs. Oh, wow,
nice.
Look at this. Check this out.
Nice.
His Beatle bangs.
Beatle bangs.
Yeah, maybe the girls would notice me because I was like almost 200 pounds by then. From, when you were a Cuban refugee, you were not given food stamps. You were given army rations.
Yeah. Yep.
So the government cheese made me gain about 50 pounds when I was little. Government cheese, the powder eggs, powder milk, oatmeal, spam. The smell. So it was and it all came in these silver cans.
Yep.
Yeah.
With no label, just to say
Right.
U.S. Army ration.
That was left over from World War II.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, And, by then I had gained all this weight. And I'm thinking, well, if I comb my hair like this, maybe they'll think I'm one of the Beatles. But what actually did happen, I got ignored by the girls anyways. But the guys, we started looking at each other and go, you? And I go, yeah. And then we started talking. I have been in the United States this is 64, almost a little bit over 2 years. So, broken English, trying to like communicate. I got really good with my hands. I could express myself with my hands very well. And so before you knew it, you were hanging out with each other. Mm-hmm. Ethnic groups all of a sudden start putting bands together, different ethnicity. And you were invited to their house, and you learn that, and they learn about you, and you learn about them, and realize that we're all the same.
That's right.
And we just music did that. Nothing else.
Music brings people together.
We've said that
and said it 100 times.
Yep. We say it all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. So it brought all these different ethnicities. Now we were a tribe.
Yeah.
We were rockers.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning. And we're at a time that few months before that Big Bang, it's November, I think November 22nd, JFK, he gets shot.
Yeah.
Now, to different people, that was a different effect. To my family and me, I was old enough to know the consequences. He was our last hope.
Yeah.
Of freeing Cuba from communism, and he's dead. And my hope went down the drain with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I don't know what's going to happen, because we were, when we came to the United States, we thought, well, there's going to be things are going to go back. We're going to get rid of communism soon. So it's going to happen. We hope, and then Kennedy is dead. That dream died with him right there, and haven't been back. And so we spent from November, and then Thanksgiving came within a few days, doom and gloom. Nobody was celebrating. We gathered, but we didn't celebrate. Then Christmas happened, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
New Year's Eve, same thing. And, we're kids. Kids is like, man, we can't go on much longer like this. There's got to be some light at the end of the tunnel. Then February, that's when the Beatles happened, and we took that. Said, okay, that's it. That's our light. That's our sign right here.
Yep.
We're starting, we're picking it up from here.
That's cool.
And boom, that was the big bang,
That's a really cool story.
It is,
because it proves what we've been saying
for years.
Geoff and I have been in bands together for the last 12 years.
Oh,
Jesus Christ, it's been 13 years now.
Yeah.
So we've been in bands together for 13 years, and we've always said that music, no matter what bullshit's going around, it gives people that 4 hours, 3 hours to just forget everything. Leave it at the door, come in, have fun,
have a good time,
release, and you're all one. There's no politics, there's no religion, there's no nothing. There's just the music, and that's what's driving you. And it's become our way of life, and that's what's drawn us to doing even what we do now with this show. So to hear a story like that, where music saved you from your own self, that's beautiful,
Yeah. But it's interesting that you mentioned about no religion. Yeah, I agree with that, because I am a Christian, but I also believe in the spirituality of music.
Yeah.
When COVID, the lockdown happened, I said, I'm not going to waste my, this, I don't know how long this is going to take. So I'm going to savor every second of this situation. And I'm going to go into areas that I've always wanted to, because now I can really devote myself, because I got plenty of time right now.
Yeah.
Right. So I went down the rabbit hole. I wanted to find out the healing qualities of music, because I've been on stage with different bands, many of everybody from Ozzy to the Guess Who to Blue Öyster Cult, Quiet Riot to Dio to Whitesnake, to name a few. and there's always a different reaction.
Yep.
To different music, different tunings. Even the crowd that it draws is very different.
Mm-hmm.
The appeal that the music has, the resonance, how it resonates with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, okay, there's got to be something to this, and I want to really discover it, because I want to be more healing than separating. Separating meaning certain type of music tends to divide people.
Yes.
Will divide the crowd, get a certain emotion out of them that is not a collective feeling.
Right.
Like let's say when we play Come On Feel the Noise, the whole room lights up.
Yeah.
And there's that moment that we're it's a collective consciousness experience. Bang Your Head, the same thing. I would say playing with Ozzy, and what was really interesting for me to witness from the stage was, first of all, being on stage with Ozzy.
Yeah.
I already have been on stage with Randy, so I knew about his greatness.
Yeah.
But with Ozzy, I have never been on stage with somebody like him before. I have never been after I play with him. Ozzy is one of the most unique individuals. You got Randy, you got Ozzy, you have Ronnie James Dio, and there's a few more that just, you know, I want to continue on the subject that, you know, they're unique.
Yeah.
And they connect with a unique set of consciousness of people. When I say consciousness, I mean the individual belief system.
Yeah.
Of people that gather for one purpose, to experience the performance of the band or creating waves. You know, one of the things that I wound up when I went down the rabbit hole about the whole thing from Fibonacci numbers to Tesla to the golden ratio, went down to quantum physics. And the concept of waves and particles. And that's what we do. We're in the business of creating waves.
Yeah.
You know, and that God consciousness that each one of us has our own consciousness, but it's tangled with the divine field.
Yeah.
You know. So ever since COVID, I've had a whole different reference when I go on stage. My references is always now. And if it's always now, because the space-time,
Yep.
You know, the theory that there's no space-time, which is what brings you into the black holes.
Yeah.
You know, how you can go from one place to the other, because it's, you know, the what is it? The continuum of a timeline. And there's certain people that believe that you can actually go back in time. No, if I do go back in time, it's because I'm connecting, I'm plugging into that. So when I go on stage, especially with Quiet Riot, it's 1978 for me.
Yeah.
That's what it is, because I have been able, with my own consciousness, to plug into that. To me, it's as real me at 74 years of age. At 73, I'm going to be 74 in November 18th, a few weeks from now. But I'm still thinking ahead. You know, for me to go on stage and plug in, like if it was 1978, which would make me 27 years old, and have that attitude on stage, you know, of course I have to train for it. I have to work out. I have to eat properly. I've been sober for it's going to be 27 years in November.
Awesome.
So, you know, I got things that do not go against me at my age.
Yeah.
It helped me to be able to go and perform at a certain level. But if I did not have the belief system that, yes, it's always now. So what keeps me, if it's always, from going to this certain point in time, I'm plugged in, and there I am, you know.
I completely agree with you, because like you said, I put on the Quiet Riot record from 1983, and I'm that same kid sitting in my bedroom listening to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know? It just
Exactly
it takes you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, how many people, almost every monumental moment in our lives has some kind of music attached to it.
Yes.
You know, they say when you hear something, or just like it's just another sense.
Yeah.
You know, when you walk, like for me, I'm Italian. If I walk into a shop and I smell garlic, or I immediately I'm back in my grandmother's, my aunt's kitchen. You know,
Yeah.
when I hear certain songs, it immediately, you know,
Every time.
Yeah.
I think the first time I drove a car by myself, I had "Rock You Like a Hurricane" on a cassette playing, and now I hear that song and I'm like, geez, I'm thinking that '76 Olds Cutlass that I drove, you know, and it immediately brings me to that.
Yes. And you know what? I recently have had this experience because my wife loves music. She's about 11 years younger than me, and which means that she grew up with a different music,
Yeah.
right? So now she's beginning to discover things that I grew up with,
Okay.
like bands from the 60s,
Yeah.
you know. And so she'll find a song and she'll go, "Oh, what are these guys?" And I go, "Oh, that's the Association." So she goes and she buys the CD,
Yep.
Right.
you know, and she, you know, the greatest hits. And we're in the car, and she goes, "Oh, I love this song." And it happens to be Cherish, and I go, "Wow, this is so weird," because, you know, when I first heard that song, when it started playing on the radio,
Yeah.
I was a fat little kid, and I always hoped that somebody would love me like that I would have a
Yeah.
relationship.
Yep.
And to be in the car with my wife, you know, 40 plus years, that was such an incredible experience. It's like, wow,
That's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
you
That
know?
is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so great.
This is, see, it's turning out to be, this is the conversation. We started telling you that we don't have any direction on this show. This is where we want to go. I'm glad we're doing this because
I am.
it's too many people get so locked up in wanting to hear the wrong information.
Yeah.
They've already made those determinations.
What was it like touring with David Coverdale?
Yeah, who cares?
Great. I want to know about
I can
you.
also make things up if you want me to.
No,
No, it's going great.
no.
But I am going to ask you. We
Yes.
I do want to
We'll
know.
get to that.
We want to know the blooper. We want to know if there was something that just went so that it's a funny moment now.
But maybe back then it wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's usually technical difficulties. Like during Whitesnake, since you mentioned Coverdale,
Okay.
we had this set that had like different levels, and somehow the stage was not secure. We used to travel with our own stage back in the day. That's why we had so many semis and lighting and sound. And gas was cheaper then. Diesel, you know.
Sure is.
And so in one of the shows, I fell through the stage. The stage collapsed. That square.
Yeah.
You know, these are stages that are like, you know, they're
They're joined together.
like Legos
Right.
or whatever, and it wasn't secure. So that square just went down, and I went down with it.
Right.
You know?
Did you continue playing on the way down?
Of course.
Oh, boy.
I'm a professional.
like it.
Go on.
Right.
Another one okay. So that same stage, the first night that we used that stage, okay, it was for the Slip of the Tongue tour, and it was decided to hire the artist who painted the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom scene where there's a bunch of rocks formation.
Right.
Okay.
And they have to go from one side to the other, and they find that angle that is actually like a walkway.
Yeah.
Right.
So it looked like a massive wall of rocks. The ground, you know, the mylar that we use, which was like rolled every single night and then pulled back, and there's your stage. It was painted exactly. So it was that one continuous piece of, you know, like rock, right? So, you know, there's certain things that I do that it's like I do every night. So that I carried on from the previous tour. So at the end of the certain song, I will be on a riser, and when the lights are going down, that's still of the night, still of the night, still of the night. I jump off, and then when the lights come on from the I'm on stage off the riser because I jumped off, right?
Yeah. Right.
And this night it did not black out, so it stayed on, and the light. And as I'm jumping off, I lose my depth of field.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell where it was because it was like this big wash of rocks.
Right.
The guy did a really good job. It looked like three-dimensional.
Obviously.
And I thought I was falling on an abyss.
Right.
So I land like a turtle. All you hear is still in the night, still in the night, still in the night. My bass is facing, the strings are facing the stage, is doing a huge feedback with the PA and my amplifier.
Wow.
And I can't get up because all of a sudden Adrian Vandenberg is standing on top of me, laughing and pointing at me as my amplifier is guitar is feeding. Yeah. Yeah, that comes to mind.
That's a good one.
Meanwhile, Steve Vai's over in the corner going, "What happened?"
Yeah. Well, he's trying to play along to it.
Yeah. What is that?
How do I tune to feedback?
I don't get this.
We're out of tune.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think that was actually the first time I ever saw Rudy in concert, though. I never was able to see Quiet Riot, but I did see the Slip of the Tongue tour in Weedsport.
Wow.
Weedsport, New York.
New York. Okay.
Yep. And Faster Pussycat opened for you guys.
Oh, yeah. Ironically, Frankie was in the band at that time. Frankie Benelli, Faster Pussycat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all know why. Well,
you know why?
I do.
You know why?
I
Go ahead. Let's
oh
hear it.
no.
Let's hear it. No.
Oh no. Oh no. But anyway,
Geoff is our resident music nerd. So if there's
we don't have to name any names.
that's true.
So go ahead,
That
Geoff.
is true.
Let's hear.
And if I remember,
but obviously it had to do with the old drummer.
With the old
That's
drummer.
where Frankie came. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was the one. Well, yeah, I'm not going to say his name. He was the one who had heroin mailed to himself.
Oh, okay, all right.
And it was illegal back then.
It was
Yes.
yeah, severely.
Severely. Yeah.
And he was not on the tour.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of guys that.
I'm sure there's a lot of that stuff that went on, but nobody knew it, and this guy just happened to get caught.
How?
Yeah.
It's you know what? It's good that people stick to certain things, and that's the way it is. How many people do we know that went out on tour that got left in the city?
Ah, yes.
Touring with our friend from Anthrax.
Yeah.
And said, "Okay, well, I'm leaving you here."
Leaving you here.
Yeah.
Well.
Joey's from Syracuse area here, and when Joey was coming back out after he left Anthrax and he started Belladonna, he took some local musicians with him, and with the stipulation that those musicians were not going to drink around him or anything because Joey was
sober at the time.
So had just become sober at the time. And his drummer, I'm not going to say names, but we know.
Yep.
He and I grew up together. In fact, he spent most of his life playing on my drum kit because his parents didn't have one. So he's on the road with Joey, and then he gets all banged up one night, and Joey's like, "That's it." And they just left.
Yeah.
And they left him in the city that they were at and had another drummer from here fly out and join the rest of the tour. And, this poor sad Charlie comes home like with his tail between the legs. I'm like, dude, I thought you were on tour with Joey. He's like, nah, I fucked up. So people fuck up, but
they do.
Yeah. Anyways, little side note story there. I'll get a call from his brother tomorrow.
Probably.
Why'd you mention my brother? I didn't say his name. I didn't say his name.
No, sir.
So.
Rudy, what do you got coming out now?
You read my mind.
I did.
We're so busy with Quiet Riot that's all I need to keep me busy.
Do you guys?
I gotta balance it with my family life, and
right.
I have a charity that I one of the founding members that is based out of Canada, and we got a few shows coming up. I've been doing that for almost 10 years now.
What's the name of your charity?
Benevolent Artists National Charity. Is based out of Calgary. By the next couple of years, we will raise $10 million, Canadian dollars, but still dollars.
That's 95 US dollars. That's
well.
Kidding.
that.
Wow.
No, it's a lot of money because it's Canadian. It's Canadian centric.
Yeah.
And lately we've been partnering with Alice Cooper's foundation. He's got an outreach for youth. He's got youth centers, Alice, in Scottsdale, in the Phoenix area. And I got to tell you, they're top of the line. He'll take over like a whole, like a strip mall, and build a church, and have the recording studios, performing, like stages, and everything is free for whoever, the kids that want to be a part of it.
That's
top
awesome.
of the line equipment, everything is wonderful. So we've done some events along with the Alice Cooper Foundation. As a matter of fact, Quiet Riot did the Christmas pudding last December.
Okay, yeah.
Along with Sammy Hagar and Nancy Wilson from Hard, and it was great. And
That's
Alice
awesome.
is just tremendous. What an incredible human being he is.
Yeah,
he really is.
We talk about fanboy moments that we talked to you about how we have had so many artists that have been on our show that we say, what's one of your biggest moments? And they all say the same. They're like meeting Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Just because he's an enigma. He really is. I mean, people don't realize how dynamic of a character he is compared to the guy you see on stage. I mean, he's more in the public limelight now than years ago.
Yeah.
But he's just such a true humanitarian.
Yeah.
I mean, he just helps out. Yeah. It's a great soul person.
For real.
Yeah.
Really, really for real. So it's been so doing that charity, doing it with him, and expanding what we're doing. We're doing more cities with Bank. We're doing Calgary. We're doing Vancouver and Victoria, and we're going to expand it even more. So it's it's really rewarding, really rewarding to be a part of that.
That's cool.
Is Quiet Riot going to continue into 2025?
Yeah, we already got dates booked.
Good.
Yeah.
You're coming back to upstate New York?
Well, I mean, you guys are in the business. It all depends who books us.
Yep.
Right.
It's not up to us to say, oh, we're going to play here, we're going to play there. No, it's like our agent gets a phone call and says, we want Quiet Riot, and if we can make it there, we're there.
Yep.
Right. Well, we definitely have a lot of Live Nation stuff going on here.
Right.
And I find that the resurgence of 80s, early 90s, late 80s, pretty much 80s rock has just it's great to see these kids embrace it so much. It's like, to listen to Warrant, Quiet Riot, Foreigner, Styx, REO. These kids are listening to stuff that we grew up listening to as well. And it's like, because I think they're getting back to appreciate true musicianship rather than just samples.
I'm not a fan.
Or AI, artificial intelligence.
Right. Right.
I mean, I haven't looked into it to see what it's capable of. And it's kind of like having that musician in the band that brings some ideas, and you say, I don't know, well, maybe that riff, we can work on that,
right.
To collaborate with the band. But as far as saying, having depending on AI to write your next big hit, no. It not at the moment, maybe in the future. But I might not be around for that.
I hope I'm not.
I hope I'm not either.
I don't want to take the human element.
I want live, 100% live, warts and all.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. I mean, did you see us when we played in Syracuse the last time?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no tracks.
Nope.
It's just us on stage. The Who has always been my inspiration, And I'm gonna go back to to Tim Bogart and Carmine because I forgot to go back. But the Who were dangerous. They still are, but especially that Keith Keith Moon
Moon,
and Whistle, and of course Daltrey and Pete Townsend. There was a danger to it, going like, is this going to fall apart? Because it was so
volatile.
Each component was, was so strong and pumping so hard. You just did not know when the whole thing, the block was going to blow up.
Yeah.
The cylinders was going to start pumping, but it didn't. And I love that. I love going on stage and not knowing exactly what I'm going to do. I learned that from Ozzy. All he knew was that he was going to go crazy. We all knew that. What was going to happen? I don't know.
Right.
And something did happen every night, but it was different. Something that never happened before. I love that because that's real. Yeah. That's live. It's not choreographed. It's not like we're playing to a click track. Or lips, or we have some tracks going on that we have to like lips, kind of like you're tied to it. You're chained to that. Right. Because you cannot play. If you feel a little bit more excited tonight, because now we got 10,000 people tonight, and the adrenaline starts flowing and you can express yourself with the magnitude of what you're a part of, because you're chained to that track that's coming through your in-ears.
Yep.
I don't even use in-ears, but when I do use in-ears, I use Ultimate Pros. As a fact.
These are the Ultimate Pros right here, everybody.
Yes, they're with the Guess Who, I use the in-ears. So if I ever need to use them again,
those are it.
There it is. And I know Janet's listening to this, and Janet's going to be like, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for getting that in here.
It is true.
What a great company. I have to say that.
They are.
I don't just have to say.
No,
they deserve
it.
They deserve it. And I talked to her. I'll be out at NAMM this year, and I think I'm going to be, from what we've been talking, I might work the booth for them for one day. And
no, I usually drop by. Brian Gaylor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's and Philippe was my introduction to the company.
I met Philippe through Janet, and I think she had him doing, like, when they were sending me the stuff, I dealt with him. What I had to, I didn't think, I had no idea they were going to send me the pros. Because when I got my my endorsement and my what do they call, ambassador status or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there. Debbie Gibson's getting hers done.
Yeah.
And they're talking about pros with her, and Janet's like, well, you do the podcast. You also are a musician, so you could benefit from all these drivers and everything. I was like, okay. And then she said, well, we're sending them to her, and I said, well, what do I owe you? And she's like, you're endorsed. I'm sending these to you. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I mean, this is my first rodeo with this kind of stuff, but because I was a sure in-ear guy for years, and they can't compare. Nobody can compare to these.
No.
It's
No, I mean, I live in LA, so I've been down to Irvine with the labs are, and they've done the
scan,
the scan, the 3D scan. Also, of course, at NAMM, I've been there a bunch of times. As a matter of fact, I also work with Sonny Blaze, who does the the jewelry caps.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And the in-ears. So he's made for me some custom ones.
Oh, no kidding.
And he made me a really beautiful Quiet Riot. It's pewter with diamonds. It might be silver, but it looks, or nickel. It's like a dark metal with a mask on and diamonds and stuff like that. It's just beautiful.
That's cool. Yeah, mine don't. Yeah. Mine aren't fancy. Nobody's doing anything special for the good, the bad, and the ugly.
No,
yet. But yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, so I'll be out there. In January. I'm looking forward to doing it.
Yeah,
again.
me too. Yeah.
Well, Chris So, who was the director for a number of years of NAMM, is also from Syracuse.
Yep.
And and I didn't know he was the director of the NAMM show.
Not till he said it.
Not till after I got back, and all these years I'm like, you could have got me tickets years ago, and I never knew that. And he's like, you never called, and I was, whatever.
Missed the train.
Yeah, and then the year I get out there, he's leaving.
He's no longer there,
It's his last year there.
Yeah.
I was like, you son of a bitch. So, but yeah, I'm excited to go out there. I think what I found out there is I've booked a lot of our guests just because people are just. It's such a cool time, you know. Joel Hoekstra and I had such a great conversation out there that it was like, why haven't I been coming here when I've had the opportunity? Why didn't I come out to this show? I always thought, wow, how good could it be? It's a great show. It's a great show. It's you know, it's very. You find that you're in the community. You know, people are just people.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
We could keep you here for another 3 hours. I'm telling you, this has been a joy
My wife
for us.
will kill me.
Yeah, well,
we're not about to.
yeah,
then.
we're not about to get you killed.
No.
But I'll tell you, it's been an honor. We would love to have you back at some point. Anything that you want to do as far as your charity, and for us to talk it up, please send me that info.
Definitely will. Yeah, I mean it's Canadian based.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
okay.
You know?
We reach Canada.
So, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
we do.
we have quite a few listeners.
We're
and
actually worldwide.
we are worldwide. We have people in the Netherlands.
We do.
And if I knew how to say thank you in your language, I would say thank you.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Hit
Hit the transcribe on the button.
Sage Pizak in the
Yes.
in the Netherlands. He's listening. He sent me some emails. So there you go.
There you go.
So Canadian
I like
base.
it.
I spent a week out in Vancouver last year, right after NAMM, and what a beautiful city. Beautiful city,
It is
Vancouver.
beautiful. Yeah, I love
Spotless.
Yep.
You don't find trash anywhere.
No.
No, it's not like being in New York.
It's not like Syracuse.
So yeah, send me whatever you'd like. We'll promote the heck out of
will.
it for you.
I appreciate it.
And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Geoff.
Yeah.
You so much.
It was fun. I told you to go quick.
God bless you both.
There you go.
Thank
God
you.
bless
Same
you
to
too.
you.
Thank you. Stick around. We're just going to roll our credits and then we'll come back and say goodbye the right way. So, hang on.
Is there a right way?
There is a right way. Hang on. Let me
Okay,
hit this
good.
button here.
Push a button.
Well, there you have it. You've been listening to The Good,
The Band.
The Ugly. We want to thank Rudy so much for being on the show.
Yes.
The legal stuff. Thanks to those people over at the Sharky's Event Center. We're going to give him a free shout out today.
Okay.
Uncle Jimmy's Local Live Music.
The Print Shop Underground.
Let's not forget Blackened Heart Tattoo, Joe's Buds, Cannabis
Hogwash.
Company. Hogwash. Yes, thank you.
For motorcycle detailing.
Yes, and for all my brothers in the Hades house,
Yes.
we got to say hello to you guys. So,
Yep.
stick around next week. We have another great show for you. But again, thank you to Rudy Sarzo for being such a gracious guest. And as we always say on The Good, The Band, and The Ugly,
be nice to each other.
Don't be dicks. Peace out. That stop button.
Stop.
Recording stopped.